Okay, well, good morning, seventh grade. I hope you're doing well. As we go into this new week, we are on a new lesson called addition. And that sounds super easy, right? This is on page 488. You want to turn there, I'm sure. Addition, right? That sounds fun. You're like, man, that's like kindergarten, adding, yay. Well, the problem is that it's not because it actually got a lot harder. So let's do some basic addition here. Let's 2 plus 6. That's fun, right? You know that in your heads, right? That's 8. That's very easy to do, right? 2 plus 6. You have 2 apples and you get 6 more apples. You have 8 apples. Okay, you guys are not dumb. You can figure this out, right? You can do this on a number line as well, right? If we had 0 and we came to 2 here and we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Guess what number I'm at? I'm at 8. So if I add from 2 here, my starting place, and add 6, I get to 8. That's really easy to understand. You guys got it. Now, this is where it's going to get a little harder. And I'm going to start not where the book starts because I don't think that they start in the most helpful place. I just want you to start by thinking about something. If you have negative 2, okay, whoa, we have negatives. Right, we're talking about absolute values. So this is on the number line, right? If you're down here at negative 2, this is 0, this is negative 1, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. If we start at negative 2, we're starting right here. What if I add 2? Think about that. Just think about it. Don't look at the number line. If I have negative $2, like let's say that I'm at a bank and I have negative $2. I owe them $2, but then I come in and pay $2. How much do I owe them? I owe them $0 now. So if I go here from this negative 2 and I add 1, 2, you see how this is a positive 2, which means I'm going this direction. I end at right here at 0, right? So anytime you have anything, negative 7 plus 7, 0. Negative 100, or sorry, 1,100 plus 1,100 is 0. Anytime you have anything like that, you always get 0. Okay, that's easy to understand because they're opposites, right? They're the same distance from the number line. So if you're down here at negative 7 and here, and then you add 7, you don't get all the way to 7, you just get exactly to 0. Okay, pretty easy to understand. I think you guys can understand that. Well, here's where it gets a little more challenging. Let's say that we're at negative 2, but this time we are going to add a negative 6. Okay, so I come down here on my number line. I'm at 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, negative 8, negative 9. Okay, where am I starting? Well, I'm starting here at negative 2. So I draw my circle here at negative 2. Now I'm adding, but this is where this is confusing, is because I'm not going to the right this time. Why am I not going to the right? I'm not going to the right because I am adding a negative number. And when I have a plus a negative number, I go to the left. Okay? I go to the left. And how many spaces do I go to the left? Well, I go 6. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And where does that leave me? My total answer is negative 8. So if I have negative 2, already started in the negatives, and I go negative 6 in addition to my negative 2, I actually added those numbers, right? 2 plus 6 is 8. But in this case, they're both negative signs. And so I end with a total of negative 8. Okay, that's the way that the book teaches you to write it. One of the ways that has helped me, so I'm going to go over this real briefly. This is the way I learned, was if I ever saw negative 2 plus a negative 6, what they taught me to do was to combine this plus sign and that negative sign. And whenever you have a plus sign and a negative sign, that always equals a minus sign every single time. So this is the way they taught me to rewrite it. Negative 2 minus 6. And the reason they taught me to do that is because negative here makes it sound like I'm going to the left. So I automatically know that I'm starting at negative 2. Okay, so on a number line, I'm here 0. I'm already at negative 2. And then I'm going to the left 6 more to get to negative 8. So here's something that's very helpful. We were even talking about this in the 8th grade and the 9th grade this year. If you see this pattern where you have a negative number minus a number, you always add. always. Always, always, always. So even though there's two minus signs there and there, I always add. So I'm going to get 8, and then all I do is keep the sign. And which sign do both of them have? Well, they both have a negative sign. So I'm going to keep the sign, and you see I get the same answer. And this may be more helpful for you, especially as we get into our next unit in tomorrow's lesson. Okay? So, continuing on here, one of the things that's important for us is to understand the number line. So let's do one that's like this. We'll do another number line example here. What if I have 4 plus a negative 6? Okay, so I'm going to go to 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4. That's where I start, right, if this is 0. And here's negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. Okay, so I started at 4. I did that. Right, here's my dot. I add a negative. What's the equivalent of adding a negative? That's subtracting in general, which goes this way to the left. So I'm going to the left. How many units? 6. So I go 1. I'm going to use a different color so you can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's my answer? Negative 2. Okay, negative 2. So that's the way I can use the number line to solve any problem that's like this. Now, obviously you won't be able to with big numbers, but you can with the small numbers draw it on the number line to get the idea right, okay? So let's say that they make it a little more complicated here. So if you're following along, this is example 3. And example 3 is on page 489. Okay, so I'd turn there and follow along so that way you can see what I'm doing here. So we have negative 2 plus a negative 1 plus a negative 3. Okay, we have a negative 2 here and plus a negative 1 plus a minus 3. So all I need to do on this one is come to my number line, right? And I'm at 0. But where do I start? I start at negative 2. Okay, that's this one right here, so I start here. Then I add a negative 1, which is the same thing as just subtracting, so I'm going to the left one more spot. Now I'm at negative 3. And then look what I'm doing again. I'm subtracting. I'm doing another negative. I'm adding a negative 3, so I go to negative 4, to negative 5, to negative 6, right? I do this here, 1, 2, 3. And so my answer is negative 6. That's how I get my total answer. I add them all together, and then I keep the negative sign. So same thing, the way I was taught, I would have done negative 2 minus 1 minus 3. What do you do when you have that? You just add them all together, which is 6, and then you keep the sign. And what is the sign of all of them? Negative. So the answer, again, negative 6. I would have done 2 plus 1 plus 3, which is 6, and then keep the negative sign. So you can do either way. Does not matter to me. That's how we do simple adding, and that's how you use the number line, okay? Now, it's going to keep getting a little more complicated because sometimes we have a big negative number like negative 4 plus 2. Now, when I come to the number line, I'm at 0 here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 3. So you get the point here. We start with negative 4, and this time we're adding. When we just have a normal addition sign, we always go to the right. Okay, normal addition sign goes to the right, so we go 1, 2, and what's my final answer? Is negative 2. Yay, not very hard to do on the number line, very straightforward and simple. Now, one thing, again, that will be helpful in the future is if the signs, so signs are different, okay, are the signs different in this problem? Look, there's a negative and a plus, so yes, they're different. That's a bad arrow there, always subtract. No matter what, you always, 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 always subtract. If the signs are different, a plus and a minus, you always subtract. So it doesn't even matter what sign is where. I know I'm going to have 4 minus 2. So I know the answer is going to be 2. So I know that part. But then I say, which sign is bigger? Okay. Well, obviously a 4 is bigger than a 2. So I know it's got to be a minus, right? The minus went with the 4. So that means that it's going to be minus 2. Okay, so let's do another one. What if I have 5 plus a negative 3? Now, in this case, all I would do is I convert this right here, this plus and minus, to a minus sign. What is 5 minus 3? Well, you can do that in your heads. That's 2. Now, why was that positive 2? Well, look right here. This negative 3 was smaller than this. There's a hidden plus sign right there, smaller than the plus 5. So that's why the answer is plus 2. We don't have to write the plus. We just write it as 2. Okay, so let's do another one, kind of similarly here. What if we have negative 7 plus 9? Okay, to try and do this without the number line, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, look, the signs are different. So I'm going to subtract. Always subtract when they're different. So I do 9 minus 7, which is 2. Then I say, which sign is bigger here? Well, obviously 9 is bigger than 7, and 9 has the plus. So that means the answer is going to be plus 2. Or just, when you write it, you just leave off the plus and just write 2. Okay, so not super hard to find. I'm going to do one more example problem and let you know what your homework is for tonight. So we have 8 plus negative 11 plus 6. Okay, now the order that you do these in is you just go from left to right, so this way. So I'm going to start with 8, and I have 8 plus a negative 11. Now, how did I say to rewrite that? You just rewrite that as a minus 11 plus 6. Okay, now what is 8 minus 11? Look, the signs are different, right? There's an invisible plus sign in front of the 8, so I know I'm going to subtract. So I do 11 minus 8, which is 3, but look here, which sign is bigger? Is the 8 bigger? No, the negative 11 is bigger, so I know that's going to be a negative 3. So now I rewrite this negative 3 plus 6. Now again, what do I have to finish this problem? So now the 8 and the 11 are gone. I have a negative sign and a plus sign. So what do I always do? I always subtract when the signs are different. So I have 6 minus 3, which is 3. But which sign is bigger? Is the 6 bigger or the 3? Well, obviously 6 is bigger than 3. So it's going to be plus. So my final answer is simply 3. Okay, if you need to watch more of this video slower, go ahead and pause it and do it each step at a time. I think it will make sense. So here we go. Homework for today is on page 491. Can you guys believe it? Almost to 500 on 11.3. And we are doing 1 through 10 all. All you have to do on those is say whether it's going to be positive or negative or neither. So that's not very hard. And then we're going to do 11 through 45 odd. So it's a lot of problems. But the reason we're going to do a lot of problems is because if you can understand this, you're going to be in great shape for algebra and for the rest of math for the rest of your career. So we're going to make sure that you guys can understand that, okay? Mr. H is over and out.